already know what time it is. It's your player partner, Mack B, back at it, back in the building. Thanks for watching Sports Hop. It's episode 58, and I am so excited today. And before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We appreciate all the love. Support the movement. We are building every day. And now, without further ado, I'm so excited because I got a special guest in the building today. I got Ode Osbourne, the Jamaican Sensation, in the building!
Wagwan!
What's up, man?
Good, man. How you been?
Hey, man, I'm blessed, man, as you can see. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on the show, and we've been looking forward to this. Let's just dive right in, man. So let's talk about, you're from Kingston, Jamaica.
Yep.
Talk to me and everybody watching the show what that experience was like. I know you left there, I think, at 9 years of age, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm sure you've been back several times. Talk to all the viewers watching the show. How was that experience in Jamaica?
You know, it's interesting. Everybody seems to think when you hear Jamaica, you think about the tropical beaches and the paradise and the beautiful women laying out and the sun and the sand, which it is. It is amazing. Yeah. But there's also the deep-rooted culture of the Jamaican food. You know what I'm saying? The breadfruit, the ackee, and the saltfish, and the, you know what I mean? Our food is some of the best food you will ever have because the way we cook with our spices is like nothing else. You know what I mean? We don't rush anything. Everything is patience, and it's one step at a time. So, for example, if you're cooking with seasonings, you can't put this seasoning in before you put that seasoning in. So it's very specific. If you do it the other way, it changes the flavor completely. So we have mastered the flavors and the way that we have cooked. So that's one of the things that I miss the most about the motherland. You know, is the cooking. But another thing was when I was a kid, I never needed to have food at home. I could disappear, go off into the woods, and never come back at home and be fed. You know, I could pick fruits from the trees. You know, there's something called mango walk. You know what I mean? It's like a walk, and there's just mango trees all over the place. There's a river you can drink water from. Wow. I don't know if it's still like that, but that's how it was as a kid. You know, and obviously it's a third world country, so. As a kid, man, my shower was outside. I didn't have, you know what I mean? We didn't have warm water, hot water, or anything like that. If we wanted hot water, we had to put it over the fire and pour it into a bucket. Yeah. You know, I remember, oh man, I'll never forget this. I remember one time, waking up and brushing my teeth, and my toothbrush fell like into the bucket with the pee. I was like, yeah. Oh, wow. I'm just like, oh man, third world country problems, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But those experiences is what cemented the Jamaican Sensation. That's why I have so much appreciation for life. And I've told this story a million times, but I'm gonna tell it again, 1,000,001.
Let's go.
So, my first time coming to America, I was 9 years old, right? And as a kid, man, my mom was really the only person that really gave me that like full-fledged love. You know what I'm saying? My culture it's hard. We're hard, man. We're hard. We're just too tough. Jamaican culture, so I never had that love, you know what I mean? And my mom, she moved here to build a better life for me, to create a legacy so she can bring me here later. So when I was 8, she moved to the States, and I stayed with my grandma until she was ready, able to save up enough money to bring me here and, build a life for me. And I remember every day at my grandma's house, just watching the airplanes fly over Jamaica on the way to the States, because Jamaica is only like an hour and a half plane ride from Florida. So I remember thinking, man, thinking someday I'm gonna be in one of those airplanes and I'm gonna see my mom, and I'm gonna achieve something great so that people can love me. I remember thinking, not necessarily so that people can love me, because you don't really think that deep as a kid, but I remember having those feelings of being wanted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's where that chip on my shoulder started, because every time I went around the adults, they were kind of like, they'd be like, go away. You know what I mean? Go away. So I never felt like I was wanted. So I was always out into the woods, climbing trees, picking fruits, getting lost. And so anyways, when I came to America for the first time, it was Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush. Shout out to Brooklyn.
Shout out to Brooklyn. Yeah. I'm from New York, by the way.
Shout
out to
that's
New
what's
York.
up. Yeah. 96 between Winthrop and Clarkson. I'll never forget the address. And I remember my mom picked me up from JFK Airport, and we went to the apartment. It was a small little 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, get in the shower, because you got off the airplane. My mom was nuts about that.
Right.
So I get in the shower, and I'm like at awe at like there's a bathtub. And I take off my clothes and I jump in the bathtub and I turn it on, and the water coming out the spigot.
Got the rubber ducky in one hand and the brush in the other.
I'm not even playing. I feel that bathtub up, and the water coming out the spigot was hot. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, yo.
Never experienced that.
Never experienced anything like that in my life, because I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Holes, where they had like Camp Green Lake, the outside little out showers. That's what I had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Little outside showers.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I'm sitting here in this bathtub, like with warm water, like, man, this is the greatest country on earth. And I haven't even experienced anything yet.
Right.
I've only sat in the bathtub.
That's based off of a bathtub.
Yeah, man.
Right.
And at that moment, I had 2 realizations. One, this truly is one of the greatest countries ever.
Yeah.
And 2, I'm never ever gonna take anything for granted. You know what I'm saying? Because where I came from, like I said, it was a poor society. Outhouse, when I have to go use the bathroom, I go to the outhouse. It was a dug in, they dig a hole and you go in there. And then when I had to shower, I go shower outside. We didn't have a lot of resources in Jamaica, but it kept you humble. So now I'm so appreciative. To this day, I'm still super appreciative. So I'm so grateful for all those experiences growing up in Jamaica, because I'm able to appreciate every single moment of my life now.
Let's talk about, your involvement in the UFC. You are definitely a great fighter, man, and I know it's been a long road. There's a lot of challenges associated with being in that sport. Talk to me about how you got in the UFC, and at what point in time did you know or realize, this is my road to destiny. This is what I really want to do.
Well, I always remember back to that kid walking on the beach, looking up at the airplane.
Yeah.
Like being like, man, someday I'm gonna prove to you guys that I'm worthy of something. You know what I'm saying? So that fire always built inside me from when I was a kid. Like, I always knew that I was destined to be something great. Like, God was just like, yo, just wait, your time is coming.
Yeah.
But that fire was burning a hole in my heart. It was burning through, because like I said, once you've had that experience where you feel like unwanted, it never truly leaves. It just burns that hole through your heart. You know what I'm saying? So when I was growing up, I got into playing football.
Okay.
And
this was in New York?
This actually was Florida. So we ended up moving. So 9/11 happened. So I moved here, and then 9/11 happened. When 9/11 happened, my mom and I moved to Florida.
Okay.
And she hated the cold. From Jamaica to Florida to New York was just too cold for her.
Right.
She was like, nah, we ain't doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. When 9/11 happened, after 9/11, we moved to Florida, and I got into playing football in high school. And one day it was raining outside, and they had these little detectors that can tell if lightning is coming. Florida's like, I think, number 1 or number 2 in most lightnings.
Yeah.
So we go to the wrestling room, and we do some drills in the wrestling room while it's lightning outside. And I start just like hammering these dudes up, like picking them up, boom, picking them up, boom. I'm talking like I'm one of the smallest guys, like getting under these dudes, just boom. And so the assistant football coach was also the head wrestling coach. And he was like, yo, you should come out for the wrestling team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm from Jamaica. I was like wrestling with some guys. Like, I was like, you know how Jamaicans get down, man. They're just too tough all the time.
Right.
So I'm like, what? Wrestling? I don't know. But after football season was done, like I said, that fire was still burning, and you know what I mean? It just doesn't go out.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, what's the next best thing? I joined the wrestling team, and turned out I was pretty good at wrestling. So I started wrestling as a freshman in high school after football season. And that year I went 21-2. I only lost 2 times on the junior varsity team. Never lost more than 2 times.
Wow.
But the varsity wrestlers was beating the hell out of me. You know what I'm saying? And that's supposed to happen. If you come on as a freshman, you're supposed to get beat up by the juniors and the seniors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to me, it wasn't supposed to happen because I said that fire was just burning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what I did was, in the summertime, when everybody else was off chilling, taking a break, I was in the wrestling room with my coach one-on-one, doing off-season tournaments, sharpening my tools, trying to level up, trying to catch up. And as a sophomore, I returned, and those same group of seniors or juniors who are seniors now, you know, we went out, we had a one-on-one wrestle off, and I was just killing it, man. They were like, yo, who is this dude that's coming up? And so, yeah, man, I ended up placing at state as a sophomore. I ended up placing 6th in the state tournament as a sophomore, which has never been done in my high school. I think I'm the only, still to this day. So I placed as a sophomore, as a junior, and as a senior. Still to this day, I'm the only person ever. I'm in the Senior Hall of Fame. I'm the only person ever to place 3 times at the state tournament. I placed 6th, 5th, and then 4th. And most people start wrestling when they're probably like 7 years old.
Yeah.
You know, 8 years old, 9 years old. I started when I was 15. So I was, you know,
that's even more impressive because of the short period of time that you were doing it.
Yeah, but that fire, man.
Yeah.
That fire.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to Wisconsin because that's where, you know, the best wrestling is in the Midwest. You know what I mean? And I knew that had I stayed in Florida, it probably wouldn't have been good for me because I was having too much fun. I had, you know what I mean?
You was partying. You was turning up.
Oh, I was. I had a beautiful girlfriend. You know,
put an S on the end, girlfriends.
You ain't lying.
Yeah, come on now.
You ain't lying. As you know, as great Martin Luther King used to say, got hoes in different area codes. No, but I'm about to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But no, man, it was good. You're right. Like I was too distracted.
You were doing too much.
I was doing way too much. I wasn't mature enough. I wasn't, you know, stable enough. And the best thing that could have ever done, or that could have ever happened to me, was moving to Wisconsin, because there I met this man named Reese Shaner. He owned a martial arts gym. And first year of wrestling, I made it to nationals first year. Beat the #1 ranked seed at the national tournament my first year.
Wow.
You know, but there's something to be said, because growing up, I had a lot of changes happen in my life constantly, consecutively, going from school to school. My mom was a hard worker, man. She worked her ass off. So it was difficult a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, for her. So we'd move a lot, change schools a lot. So we developed, and it's a thing. We developed something like we start self-sabotaging situations because we feel like we're not gonna get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like success becomes a thing where it's like, all right, you know what? It's not gonna happen, so I'm gonna just mess it up. Because now if I mess it up, I know I got control over it. But if it happens when I'm really trying, then it hurts me, and I'm not trying to be hurt. You know? So when I beat the #1 ranked seed, I knew I had to beat one more person and I'd be an All-American, and I lost that match on purpose. Not really purposefully, but subconsciously. It was just that thing. I would do that a lot growing up.
Yeah.
Every time the matches counted, like at the state tournament where I'd beat the best in the state and I'd lose to somebody just to make it to the finals, you know, I would lose subconsciously because I felt like I was going to get let down either way. So I'd rather control it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's a little psychological thing.
Yeah.
And now after nationals, I really like just was so angry at myself. And that was the last time I did that. And it really was the last time, because then the school dropped the wrestling program. They dropped the wrestling program. And when they did that, I found the next martial arts gym down the road, and I met Reese Shaner. And I was like, I don't have a job, I don't have anything, but I really want to learn martial arts. Can you know, I'll clean the gym, I'll wash your car, I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, only thing I ask for you is just come in and dedicate your time. And man, when I tell you, I dedicated so much time that he didn't even give his time to the real pro fighters. This new kid coming off the street.
Yeah.
He just gravitated to me and started putting everything in me. And I didn't grow up with the father figure. It was all my mom was a dad and a mom, you know what I'm saying?
Same
and so,
for me, man.
Yeah, man. And so he really filled that role. And with him, I felt like I could accomplish anything. You know what I'm saying? There was that. Remember when I told you that love I was missing and that fire, because I wanted to be wanted, and well, I got it finally.
Yeah.
And so I was a monster, man. When I started fighting under Reese, I was a monster. No one could touch me. Like I would beat everyone in like the first round. I'd knock everybody out or submit everybody like easily. It wasn't even close, because it was all about the mental. You know, I felt like I finally got that thing, and I didn't want to let Reese down, because he taught me discipline. That was the most important thing he taught me, was discipline. And he would say these things over and over and over to me. One of the things he would say is, you know, iron sharpens iron, so make sure you're going with somebody that can sharpen you, you know. And he would say, make sure that you know that you are 5 of the people that you hang out with, so you better watch who you're hanging out with. He would just constantly tell me, you know, pour into me. And I had no choice but to grow up and but to be disciplined, because he's constantly on me all the time. I came late, he'd make me do, you know, 50 burpees, not to punish me, but to teach me that
discipline.
Discipline and time is valuable.
Right.
And so, you know, man, one thing led to the next. Ended up turning pro with Reese. Still never lost. Went 3-0. Won all my pro fights. Knocked everybody out. Oh, one went the distance, but it was just spectacular. I had a great thing going, and all good things must come to an end, because sometimes, you know, in order to reach where we need to reach, we have to face a little bit of turmoil, right?
Yeah. And
so, you know, I've spent 5 years with him, and then he passed away in a motorcycle accident.
Okay. My condolences.
Yeah. And that crushed me, man. It killed me.
Yeah.
But it gave me the drive I needed, the spark I needed to continue his legacy, something that he left within me. And so I continued on. You know, I applied for a job as an assistant teacher and worked in the inner city school of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And started working with 5th and 6th graders, and you know, instilled the same disciplines Reese instilled into me.
Yeah.
While I was an assistant teacher, I was training, you know, so I'd wake up 7 a.m., go to school 8 a.m., get done 3 p.m., start training at 5, from 5 to 8.
Wow.
And it was like that every day. Yeah. And made it to I got the call that I was gonna be on the Contender Series. So Dana White has something called the Contender Series, where he gets the best fighters in the country to compete, and he'll give 1, 2, 3 contracts minimum to the most exciting fighters, you know, and we're all on this card trying to compete. And, you know, when he called me, it was just like, wow. And I'll never forget it, man. The day that he called me on Contender Series, I had about 2 months to prepare, and I prepped. I trained my ass off. I flew to Vegas, and that my night was here, my moment was here for me to go in. And I knew in the back of my mind that that thing was trying to self-sabotage me. You know, that thing, that voice in the back of your mind, that's like, hey, man. That out. Yeah, so this was my moment. And I thought about Reese. In that moment, I was like, yeah, man, this is what Reese died for. You know, this is it right here. This is my all, my moment when I was walking on the beach. Yeah. Everything just had to be flashed in front of my eyes in that moment. I remember sitting in the back locker room, closing my eyes. Everything flashed in front of my eyes. Went in there, put on the best performance in front of Dana White. You know, submitted my guy in the first round, hopped on the cage, and I looked over at Dana and I said, hey, Dana, I'm gonna make you a lot of money, man. And then Dana went to the back, and then he was handing out, you know, they pick from the fighters who they want to sign. Yeah. And he said, there's one guy I really like, man. If you look at the whole group, Ode Osbourne, he's gonna be a problem. You know, and he gave me the contract right then and there. Dope. And that's how my UFC run started. Yeah. That was long-winded.
Yeah, it's all good. Shout out to Dana White, by the way. You know,
for real.
Businessman, mogul. I mean, he just changed the whole game with UFC.
Yes,
I mean,
he did.
It's still growing in popularity, but it's recognized and respected globally, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. You know, giving all these international fighters opportunities and fighters here at home domestically, but talk about the physicality of the UFC and how challenging that can be, because sometimes, you know, in the midst of fighting, even in victory, you know, the next day, I'm sure, or the next week, or even going into the next month, you still feeling some pain, some aches and pains, some bumps and bruises. Talk to me about that element, and what do, in terms of preparation to try to mitigate that? I know you can only do so much until you get into the octagon, but.
Well, here's the thing. When you reach a certain level, and something I've realized, fighting is the same as basketball. It's the same as football. It's the same as tennis. It's the same as golf. It's the same as bowling. You know why? It's 90% mental.
Yeah.
It's a mental game. All mental. And I realized, how much mentality went on into fighting. It's such a mental game.
Wow.
And if you're not on all the time, man, if you get it too soon, if you get the bag too soon and you're not ready for the bag, you gonna fumble. Yeah. You're gonna fumble the bag.
Yeah.
If you get it too soon, that's why God does what He does, in His timing.
Strategically.
Yes. Sometimes success is up and down, up and down, up and down, but it's up and down in an upward spiral. I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah. I've lived it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when you get to a certain level, you don't show up to the gym and hope to get. Shout out to Brian Smith for this one.
Okay.
You don't show up to the gym and hope to get 10% better. You show up to the gym for 1%. 1% better every day. Meaning, like, you start working on little things like feints. You'll spend an hour just feints. You'll spend an hour of just stepping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now everybody's just as good as you.
Yeah.
Everybody's just as good as you. Mm-hmm. And you can't go into the gym being like, all right, well, I'm going to start working all this stuff. No, you got to work the 1% things that could transpire into the fight. So when you feint at somebody, it's the perfect feint to where you believe I'm going to do something. You know what I'm saying? It's the small details like that really matters at that level. And I'm sure it's the same for basketball. I'm sure it's the same for baseball, football, all of that.
Fundamentals.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Tom versus Time is a documentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
And, it's a great
Shout out to Tom Brady to go.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He really is, man. And it shows just the little nuances that he does. Like, he's working on his back foot over and over and over. He's not even throwing the ball. Yeah. It's his back foot over that pivot over and over and over. It's the same concept with fighting. It's that 1%.
Right. That's dope, man. And we got a video clip of you in action in the octagon. Solomon, can we pull that up? Just to show the viewers watching the show how the Jamaican Sensation gets down. It ain't no joke, man. So, wow, man. That left hand.
Yeah.
Got him with it.
I'm a lefty.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, man. Oh, that was a right hand right there.
Yeah, that's a right hook. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. You are relentless, man, with them hands. Wow.
That fire be burning, man.
Yeah.
Tom Paul, we be burning.
Yeah. Now, do you, the day of the fight? That was my last fight.
That was about a month ago.
Yeah, you won that fight.
Yep.
Day of the fight, what's your diet like, man? What does it consist of? Are you kind of just eating light, not really?
Yes. Because for me, it's different for everybody, right? But for me, I want to be nimble. I want to be able to move. I want to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I eat steak or anything like that. I feel too heavy. I feel like I'm stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll go a smoothie, some chicken, eggs in the morning, a light breakfast, a light lunch. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Just keep it light.
Just enough.
Yeah, just enough, because otherwise you're out there and you just feel heavy. And that's the worst thing. It's like, what it's like eating Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, yeah. Trust me, this is the result of many Thanksgivings. Okay? Yeah.
I don't want to be out there eating Thanksgiving dinner, man.
Yeah. I get you, man. And, Vegas is such a cool city, and I don't know how long you've been in Vegas, but with all the lights, camera, action, and it's just nonstop, right? It's just a revolving door of entertainment. Talk to me about your transition from the Midwest, because you were in Wisconsin, coming to Vegas, great city, booming market, right?
Yeah.
How have you been able to adapt in Vegas, with everything going on in Vegas versus being kind of in, Wisconsin, the small Midwest? It's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that variation right there.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with personality traits too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it really depends on your personality, because I've moved around my whole life.
Okay.
I've developed so many skills. You know what I'm saying? I can talk. You can put me in a room with anybody, anybody and I can get along with them.
Yeah.
That's just how I am.
That's
like,
a
for
great
real.
gift.
I could talk to anyone.
Yeah.
So it's like Vegas, I'm in my element, you know what I mean? Coming from the Midwest, I hate the cold, man. I do. I hate the cold.
Yeah.
So that's a big break, but I do love the Midwestern hospitality. They have a certain way about them, a certain culture.
Nice people.
They come from farming backgrounds where I have a cow, you give me, 10 of your chickens, I'll give you, a quarter of my cow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trades.
Yeah.
They have a nice flow of just working together.
Yeah. Unity.
Unity, exactly. Whereas a lot of other places lack that.
Yeah, that's true. Facts.
But in terms of Vegas though, personality traits is everything. And so I said before, I think with my personality, it makes it easy for me to get along with people.
Yeah.
There's not one person I can say that I don't get along with.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And speaking of Vegas, you're currently working with the Las Vegas Police Department, helping to mentor the youth and get involved in terms of community, which I totally love because I'm all about that.
Yeah.
How did that come about, man? And how long have you been doing that?
So it started when I was an assistant teacher in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And so when I first started as an assistant teacher, I really, it was like getting thrown into the wolves. I was like, all right, I have no idea what I'm doing here. But
yeah,
I felt like I was every single one of those inner city kids, that I saw myself in them, so whenever I would say something to them and they didn't react the way I wanted to, instead of yelling at them, I would go home. No joke. I would lose sleep over this sometimes. I would go home and I'd be like, man, why did he react that way? Why did he snap at me?
Right.
And I would try to like reverse engineer a solution, and what I would go back and I'd be like, hey, you know what? Yesterday I said something to you and you snapped at me, and I apologize if I upset you, but that's not my thing. I'm not trying to upset you. I want the best for you. You know what I mean? And I want you to be the best outside these walls.
Yeah.
And so I would have these in-depth conversations, and I found out that having those in-depth conversations with these 5th and 6th grader actually helped them, and helped building our relationship. So I started writing everything down that I was doing, and I had like a sheet. I had a packet like this thick. I had a thick packet of notes. And so one day I was just like, you know what? Let me just compile all these notes and figure out a way to create my own program. And that's what I did. I created my own program built on building up their self-efficacy. What that means is like, you can't expect a kid to come in school and sit quiet and pay attention when their home life is chaotic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't expect that.
Facts.
You really can't. And that's what a lot of the teachers expected. They expected a lot of these kids to come to school on time, to come there and sit, come there and learn, come there and pass. It's like, nah. First, you can't just be like, all right, we want you to get from, a level 1 to a level 5. It's like, whoa. First, we got to get them to a level 0 first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got to get their basic needs met first.
Right.
And so when I found out a lot of them just lacked basic needs that they were missing, it was easy from there, and our math class ended up being the best math class in the middle school group. Me and this lady, Mackenzie, Mackenzie Menifee was the other math teacher I was working with. And, we both had the same drive, same energy for the kids, building up their self-efficacy. And so that's when I finally got signed to the UFC and started fighting. I realized, the airplane, when the oxygen mask falls in the airplane, what do they say you do first?
You put it on, but you assist the child first.
Yeah, no, you assist yourself first.
Well, I've never been in that situation, and I hope I'm not, but yeah.
My point is, I realized I wasn't getting enough oxygen because I was doing so much. I was fighting and I got signed. I was doing so much, and I was 1-1. So sorry, I won my first fight, lost my second fight. No, lost my first fight, won my second fight, lost my third fight. So I was 1-2, and I was like, man, I need to make something happen here because I'm not gonna make it past my first contract. Sorry, because if I lose another fight, I'm cut from the UFC. I had 4 fights on that contract. You know, my first contract.
You got to go 3-1 or 2-2 to stay on.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, it's a ruthless game, man. You're always fighting for your job, you know. But I like it though because it keeps,
pushes you.
Yes, it pushes me.
Right.
And so I quit my job. You know, it was painful, the most painful thing to do, because I felt like I was letting all my students down. You know, but then I realized like, no, I need to show them an example of me doing what I need to do to become successful so that I can show them how to be successful. You know, I can't show them success if I haven't gotten there. Yeah. So quit my job, moved to Vegas, and found Las Vegas Metro. And, you know, they already worked with the UFC, doing things for UFC. And I went to one of I think it was like a shop with the cop, and met with one of the officers. And they're like, oh, we do a program called LEAP. And I said, well, I have my own program. Would you mind if I implemented my program? And they're like, all right, well, we'll shadow you. So they shadowed me, and the first time I implemented my program into into this high school. We went to a high school or middle school. I don't remember what it was, either high school or middle school. And I implemented my program, and the results that I got back was incredible. The feedback from the kids, everything. Right. And they were like, wow, yeah, from now on, we're going to use your program. In fact, you're going to run lead on this, and you can do it however you want, and just, you know, tell us what to do.
That's right. Okay, they gave you the keys.
Yeah, they did. They did, man. It was great. The Las Vegas Metro, they work a lot in the community. They have a lot of community involvements that they do. You know, shout out to Grant and Elliot and Rachel and, you know, everyone else, man. They do a really good job in the community. And something I found out was when I would go into the schools in Vegas, it wasn't that. It's not that the schools are necessarily terrible, right? Vegas is ranked like 48th in the country out of 52. 48 meaning like 48 is the worst. Like 52 is the worst. So I was like, all right, so what's the problem here? The problem really is just the foundation. Vegas doesn't have a foundation. You know how I said Wisconsin, they come from farming and growth. Yeah. There really isn't, you know, Vegas started with what, casinos and strip clubs, and you know what I'm saying? And desert, exactly. Yeah. So when I started that, it was just one thing led to the next, and it just worked out well. And I started working alongside Las Vegas Metro, and we started just moving and grooving and flowing and helping all the kids and just achieving greatness, you know, because at the end of the day, I want to build lions. I'm not trying to build followers. You know what I mean?
Right. Real talk. Talk. And speaking of building and the evolution, not only predicated on the UFC, but as a businessman, you're evolving. Talk about your new venture with these cigars, your best cigars. Tell me about how that came about and everybody watching the show.
Well, you know, you just talked about building, right? Because everyone sees UFC fighters as just, you know, Neanderthals. Well, I'm not trying to be just a brawler in the cage. I'm trying to be a builder. You know what I mean? I want to build a legacy for myself, for my family, for everyone around me. Right. And so, you know, we are going to launch a Fighter Cigars. It's going to be called Your Best Cigars. Right. What Your Best Cigars is pretty much each UFC fighter is going to have their own unique blend of cigars. Yep, there's our website.
I like that.
They're going to have their own unique blend of cigars curated by them. You know what I'm saying? So the style of the cigar is going to fit their personality, who they are. For me, it's, you know, the Jamaican Sensation cigar is going to be unique to me. Okay. Eventually, hopefully adding in like a little Jamaican tobacco in there. You know what I'm saying? You know, we even have a little slogan: "Built by kings, smoked by champions." You know?
Nice. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, man. And so, me and my business partner Brian Smith, we've been working around the clock.
Okay. Shout out to Brian, by the way.
Yeah. Shout out to Brian, man. This launch is going to be incredible. We can't give too much out of the bag yet, but we already have a good amount of fighters that are test sampling their cigars and creating their own unique blends, because YBC is Your Best Cigars, but it's also going to be your best collectibles. So it's a subscription business. You're not going to be subscribing to just a cigar. You're going to be subscribing to an entire experience. Meaning, like, once your box of cigars come and you open the box, you're getting a whole experience. You might get an autographed picture of your favorite UFC fighter.
Yeah.
You might get a chance to win tickets to come out to Vegas to do dinner with us. You might get a chance to, like I said, it's not with something with a name like Your Best Cigars. We gotta deliver on all fronts.
Right.
We can't just deliver on the cigars.
Yeah.
We gotta deliver on
bigger than that.
Yeah, it's way bigger than that. It's the experience. You're not subscribing to the cigars. You're subscribing to the experience.
Yeah.
And so that's really it, man. And as a UFC fighter, I want all my other peer fighters to win. You know what I'm saying? Meaning we all work as a team collectively to win collectively.
Right.
And that is the motto. We all work and drive and win together. Because that's me as a person, man. I'd rather win with a bunch of people than win by myself. Because when you're out in the middle of the ocean on a jet ski by yourself, that's the most boringest thing ever. Who wants to be on a jet ski by themselves?
Right.
You know what I mean? I want the whole team with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you seen Thundercats?
Yeah.
Remember the movie the show Thundercats, the cartoon? Yeah, man.
The whole squad.
Yeah, the whole squad.
Yeah. Come
on.
I got you, man.
Yeah.
I got you. That's dope, man. I like that. Your Best Cigars.
Your Best Cigars. And like I said, YBC, it's also gonna be your best products. So it's gonna be different. Like I said, without giving too much, man.
Yeah.
There's gonna be so many collectibles, UFC memorabilia, collectibles, meet and greets, after parties.
Right.
Just amazing experiences for the fans.
Right.
And the cigar space in the US is it's crazy. There's not a lot of people doing what we're doing,
Right. But it is a growing market.
It's a $14 billion industry.
Yeah, it's a growing market.
$14 billion industry. And so, yeah, we made sure we patent everything because at this point in time, we're going to hit the ground just like a rocket ship. Just boom, as soon as we launch.
Love it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, some of the things away from the octagon, besides your cigar ventures. What do you enjoy doing in terms of hobbies and interests? And are you into other sports? Do you like football, basketball, any of the Vegas teams? Tell the viewers watching the show a little bit about that in terms of what you like to do in your downtime, whether it's a sporting event or just chilling out by the beach, or what does the Jamaican Sensation like to do?
So I have become a Las Vegas all-star sports team fan just by, association. I don't really watch football or basketball. I used to watch it all. Now I only watch UFC. But I've become such a big Las Vegas fan because a lot of the athletes come to the UFC.
Yeah.
So when you meet these different athletes, it's like you can't help but to follow them and follow their career. And vice versa, they follow you and your career. And so now you automatically just become a fan of the team. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you meet all the different players from the Aces, from the Raiders,
the Golden Knights.
The Golden Knights. Yeah, you just become a fan of the team. You just become you can't help it. It's just something that you do. And they're amazing, man. The players are incredible. Las Vegas players are incredible.
Right.
And it's just they have their own culture and community, which I love.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but becoming a master of one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be a master of none.
Exactly.
I want to be able to be a master of one and then sprinkle everything else on top. That's the little key that everyone else misses. They when I say everyone else, I talk about me. I used to do that where I used to just do way too much and I couldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
So now I like to go on a little motorcycle ride. I go to the park. I love to paddleboard. I don't know if you've ever been paddleboarding, man.
Not yet.
Willow Beach. It's a 45-minute drive.
Okay.
Willow Beach it's you can bring a paddleboard, a kayak, canoe, whatever.
Okay.
And it's so beautiful. It's borderlining Arizona, and you're going in between like the mountains. It's the most beautiful thing ever. I love being out in nature. That's probably my favorite thing to do, man.
Yeah.
Being outside in nature. I say outside.
Taking you back to your roots.
Yes,
Jamaica,
exactly.
Right?
That's
she was
probably,
living off the land.
Light bulb. That's probably where that came from.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Wow.
That's dope.
Wow. Thank you for letting me see that, because I didn't even think about that before.
Yeah, it's all good. Let everybody know watching the show, how can they tap in and follow you, all the fans and new fans and observers? Where can they find you on social media? Let everybody know what time it is. And also mention the website one more time for the adult viewers who smoke cigars of your cigar venture.
Oh, wait, before I forget, I brought something for you.
Oh, okay. A little surprise. Oh, man. Okay, look at this for everybody watching. Yeah, let's zoom in on that. Okay. Yeah. I like that, man.
Yeah, man. It's the Midnight Collection right
Signed
there.
and everything.
Yep, signed it for you.
Okay.
Brought it. I'm going to give one to your guy here.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Also brought some cigars for you to give to your buddies that, this is going to be my cigar. It doesn't have the wrap around it yet.
Yeah.
It's a sample.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But these are going to be my cigars. Blended, curated by me.
Okay.
Built by kings, smoked by champions.
Wow. Okay. Let me open this puppy up and get a little whiff.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I ain't mad at it. Looks like some good quality too.
Oh man. It's luxury. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's luxury, and that's the whole thing. I want when anybody opens the box, they just get that that luxurious feeling.
Whiff.
Because like Brian Smith says, not everyone can afford a Ferrari, but everyone can afford a $20 box of cigar and just, go outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something about when you smoke a cigar, you just feel the luxury, the luxury, the luxurious, just
the energy.
The energy, yes. Okay. Yes. And everyone always thinks that when I talk about luxury, it's about money and what you wear and clothes. But for me, luxury is just carrying yourself with a purpose.
Yeah.
That's what luxury is.
Yeah. I like that, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. Speaking of a purpose, our purpose here on the show is always to showcase and provide a platform for talented athletes like yourself and artists and individuals. Where can people watching the show tap in with you on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever you're doing? Let them know what time it is. What's your handle?
So I keep it simple, man. You don't know it already. Let me keep it short and simple. Everything is Ode Osbourne. Ode Osbourne. Everything on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, X and Twitter, same thing.
Yeah.
TikTok, all of it, man. Follow along for the journey. If you go on YouTube as well, I have my Wolf Youth program on YouTube.
Love it.
So, for all of you all out there who have kids, send them that. It's free. I spent time, energy, and money on this program for you guys to enjoy it for free. So tap into that program. It's a really good program. You guys will love it. Tap into, your best products, YBC, your best cigars, and then tap in with me. Feel free to reach out. I always respond on social media, and if you guys comment on anything or reach out, I'll always respond. That's just who I am. Ode Osbourne, the Jamaican Sensation.
I love it. And for y'all tapping in with your boy Mack B, follow the movement on Instagram at Mack B, MACK, B as in boy, _, at Sports Hop Media, all one word, Sports Hop Media. Episode 58 is in the books. We got Ode on the couch, the Jamaican Sensation in the building. Keep it locked.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on too, man. I just want to say your energy, everything about you. When I first, you never know who you're talking to until you speak to somebody on the phone. As soon as I called you on the phone, I heard your voice. I was like, man, this guy's dope. You know what I'm saying? I can feel your energy through the phone. I was like, man, this dude is dope. I can't wait to get up with him.
Yeah,
so
I'm
so glad we got this in. I appreciate you having me here, man. I love the time that you took to, make this space available.
Yeah, always, man. Always love. Thanks for watching Sports Hop. For all the latest news on hip hop and sports, subscribe here and keep it locked. It's your boy Mack B.